Hello my friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Quick introduction, my name is Kaya Ann. I am a yoga practitioner, instructor, wellness enthusiast, flexologist, and I am a podcaster. I host my own show called The Perfect Prana Show. It's available on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And of course, my podcast is about yoga. I have a segment on my show called The Yoga Theme where I'll be posting asana practices to go along with the show. And this week the yoga theme is forward, moving forward. So of course, naturally, this video is going to be about that concept. And then also I will include a practice that helps move us forward in the anatomical sense. We'll be moving forward on the mat, literally, and then also lots of forward folds. For those of you that want to skip right to the practice, that is totally cool. Just some things to note here. You might need a strap throughout the video or a scarf. This is a pretty long strap, so if you have a yoga strap or even a scarf within similar length, that might be really helpful throughout this practice. I did not cue for blocks in this practice, but if you have blocks, feel free to use them. If you have issues touching the floor when you forward fold, a block might be very useful for that. If you just need to extend your arms longer, we'll be balancing a lot throughout this practice, so any of the balancing poses. There are just a few asanas that you might find it beneficial to use a block, but I did the practice without a block, so it's up to you if you have blocks, and if you don't, then just see if you can make it work. Personally, I like to use YouTube videos to warm up for a deeper yoga practice, so you could do that where I'm like, man, I just need to warm up and get in the flow. Or I just might use the YouTube video for my actual asana practice for that day. But it's up to you how you want to use this video. Okay, so for those of you who are staying to hear the full introduction and about the concept of moving forward, I'd like to say this is one of my favorite concepts because it's like I was so mind blown when I had this realization. And maybe you won't be, maybe you will, I don't know. It's important to move forward in the anatomical sense, but also in the symbolic sense. It's a cliche for a reason. I'm sure you've heard lots of people say, you gotta move on, you gotta keep going, and it's in a billion songs, come on. But this concept is most impactful for me because I've always known and I've always tried to move forward from negative experiences. Something embarrassing happens. I get in an argument with somebody. Something doesn't go my way. I just try to move on like a lot of other people do. Am I always successful at it? I mean, sometimes it's a struggle, but I'm aware that, hey, I've got to move on. I just got to keep going. Maybe things will change. Maybe things will get better. Something better will come. You never know. Where this concept was most impactful for me is moving forward from the positive experiences. See, it's like you have negative experiences, you might have trouble moving forward, you might dwell on them, but I find I can only dwell for so long because life doesn't stop for me. I still have to show up to my responsibilities. But it's the positive experiences where I found, wow, those are really hard to let go of and move on from. For instance, like eating a meal, I might really enjoy the meal that I'm eating and I'm thinking, wow, this is so good, and I just keep wanting more and more and more, and I never want it to stop. Sometimes I just have to appreciate the meal, be present with the meal, and acknowledge that it's really good, and then let it end gracefully. And I'll probably have another good meal in the future. This isn't the end all be all. And just let it go instead of, well, no, let me keep going back for more and more until I'm sick. because I didn't want to let go of that feeling that I felt when I first tasted this amazing meal, if that makes sense. So, this concept of moving forward, I'm faced with it constantly every single day with the good experiences and the bad experiences, and I'm sure that you're faced with that concept too. This is kind of practicing an aspect of non-attachment. That's a whole other conversation that might make this video an hour long. So I'll end my speech about moving forward right here and just highlighting that, hey, it's important in the anatomical sense, but also important in the symbolic sense is we have to move forward. So this is an asana practice that will help us move forward. Sometimes in life when I'm feeling a little stuck, I just need to get up and move, get my blood flowing, start building up heat, and this practice will do that for you.
This practice will start standing in a forward fold at the back of your mat. Plant your feet hips width distance apart. Bend your knees. Hinge at the hips. Let your upper body be heavy. Grab a hold of your elbows and maybe swing from side to side. Release your neck fully. Let your head hang. And just start to connect with your breath. Release your elbows and inhale, rise to standing, arms up overhead, gazing at your thumbs. Exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hips, releasing your neck fully. Inhale, moving the energy upward, moving your palms toward one another, and exhale back down, moving the energy down. And then inhale, arms up overhead. Plant all four corners of your feet down, and then exhale, chair pose, Uttanasana, poking your tailbone back, keeping your chest lifted, acting as if you're sitting in a chair. Exhale for forward fold. Slight bend in your knees, shift the gravity to your left foot. Inhale, rise to one-legged Tadasana, lifting your right foot into the air. Exhale for forward fold. Shifting the gravity to your right foot. Inhale, one-legged Tadasana, lifting your left foot. Exhale for forward fold. We'll build upon this. Inhale, shifting the weight to your left foot, lifting up your right foot, and arms up overhead, and then step forward into a lunge position, bending both knees, cactusing your arms. Now your legs, arms up overhead. Step your left foot forward for one-legged Tadasana, balancing on your right foot. Exhale for forward fold. Release your neck fully. Inhale, half lift. Plant your hands, bend your knees. Exhale, step back into a tabletop position. Shift your weight forward, and then bend your elbows and lower just your chest. Hug your elbows in to your waistline. Front body down completely. Press the tops of your feet into the floor. Bring your forearms forward for this variation of Cobra or Sphinx pose. Breathe in, lift your chest. Pull your shoulders back and down. Spread your fingers wide. Press your forearms down. Then bring your hands next to your rib cage. Press up into tabletop. Round your spine. Inhale through your nose. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Take 2 deep cleansing breaths here. Lift your heels. Bend your knees. Keep your tail high and act as if you're sliding the mat away. You're done with your ultra deep breaths. Walk your hands backward, meeting me in a forward fold at the back of the mat. Release your neck fully. Shifting to your right foot, inhale, arms up overhead, lifting your left leg. And as you exhale, step your left foot forward, bend both knees, cactus your arms. Balance on your left foot, raise your right foot. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale for half lift. Knees bent, plant your hands, step back into a tabletop position. Shoulders forward, elbows in toward your rib cage, tail lifted. Then lower your front body down completely. Cobra variation or Sphinx. Pull your shoulders down and back, away from your ears, chest up and forward. Downward facing dog. By your waist, press up into tabletop, tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back. Feel free to pedal your feet out, bending one knee at a time, straightening one leg at a time, alternating, pushing one heel toward the ground and then the other. Or keep both knees bent and your heels lifted and your hips high. Your fingers are spread wide like starfish. Gaze forward, walk your hands toward your feet, and meet me at a forward fold at the back of your mat, and we'll build upon that sequence. Balance onto your left foot. Inhale, one-legged Tadasana, lifting your right foot. Exhale, step forward, cactus your arms. Inhale, straighten out both legs. Plant your left heel into the ground. Draw your right hip back, forward fold halfway. Parsvattanasana or pyramid pose. Act as if you're holding an imaginary block or take your hands wide. Reach your hips back and the crown of your head forward. Act as if you're trying to spread the mat apart with your feet. Both legs are straight. Take your arms behind you. Inhale, step into one-legged Tadasana, balancing on your right foot. Exhale, forward fold. Go through the sun salutation sequence or vinyasa, or travel straight to downward facing dog. You have two options. Connect your breath to your movement. Inhaling to extend, and as you exhale, compressing. If you've already been in downward facing dog, feel free to lower your knees as you need to, or even take a child's pose. 2 deep cleansing breaths, acting as if you're sliding the mat forward, keeping your tail lifted into the air, gazing at your belly button. Walk your hands toward your feet for Uttanasana. Release your neck fully. Weight onto your left foot. Inhale, one-legged Tadasana, lifting your right foot into the air. Exhale, lunge forward, cactus your arms. Inhale, arms up overhead, pyramid, forward fold halfway, straighten out your legs. Push through your right heel. Draw your left hip back, your right hip forward, moving your ribs toward your thigh. Arms behind you like an airplane, and start to bend your left knee. Step into one-legged Tadasana, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Go through your vinyasa or straight to downward facing dog. Rest as you need to in child's pose or lying on your belly. Trying to keep your breath and your movement connected. If you're doing the vinyasa, you may be in Sphinx pose. You can stay with your elbows on the ground or plant your hands and lift your elbows, pulling your shoulders back and down. Travel to downward facing dog through tabletop position. 2 deep cleansing breaths. Inhale through your nose, fill up your belly like a balloon. Exhale, pushing out all the air, deflating your belly. Inhale, filling up, extending your spine. Exhale, bringing your belly and your thighs to meet. Begin to walk your hands to your feet. Feel free to bend your knees in any of these forward folds. Shift the weight onto your left foot. Inhale, one-legged mountain pose, lifting your right foot into the air, arms up overhead. Exhale, step forward, cactus your arms, bend your knees. Inhale for pyramid pose. Left heel planted, both legs straight, forward fold halfway. Find a gaze point on the floor. Slight bend in your right knee. Left leg straight and engaged. Use your left glute to start to float your left leg into the air. Here, Virabhadrasana 3, Warrior 3. Trying to keep a nice line of energy from your ankle to your wrist. Your hips are leveled, drawing your left hip down. Send your arms behind you like an airplane. Inhale, rise into one-legged Tadasana. Left foot lifted, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Go through your vinyasa or meet in downward facing dog, following the breath to the movement. Take rest as needed and make modifications where you need them at. Remembering to inhale and expand your belly, and as you exhale, deflating your belly, creating space in your body for these postures. Meeting in downward facing dog, then walking your hands to your feet so we can do the other side. Inhale, one-legged mountain pose, balancing on your right foot. Arms up overhead. Exhale to lunge forward, keeping your left heel on the ground. Inhale for pyramid pose, keeping your right heel planted, both legs straight, reaching your hips back, your crown forward. Exhale, Warrior 3, lifting your right leg off the ground, squeezing your right glute, bringing your right hip down, keeping your hips leveled, hands behind you. Inhale, one-legged Tadasana, balancing on your left foot. Exhale, forward fold. Go through the vinyasa or to down dog, remembering to rest as you need, keeping your breath and the movement connected, trying to make the transitions as graceful as possible. Take a pause in your downward facing dog, no pun intended, and then walk your hands to your feet for your forward fold. Let's continue to build on this. On your left foot, one-legged Tadasana, lifting your right foot. Inhale, exhale, low lunge, bend both knees. As you breathe in, transition into your pyramid pose. Reaching your arms forward, palms facing one another, then transition into your Warrior 3. Lifting your left leg, engaging your left leg, arms behind you, one-legged Tadasana, balancing on your right foot, then tree pose, pressing your left foot into the inner thigh of your right leg. Depending on your shoulder tightness, taking your arms together or further apart, or your palms to center. Unhook your foot, then forward fold. Go through your vinyasa or your sun salutation. Take your rest as you need them. Keeping your breath and your movement connected. Letting your breath be the soundtrack for this practice. Meeting in a downward facing dog. Taking a moment here and then walking your hands to your feet, keeping the flow going. Inhale energy into your right foot, lifting your left foot, one-legged mountain pose. As you exhale, lunge forward. Inhale to transition into your pyramid pose, straightening out both legs, drawing your right hip forward, forward fold halfway. Gracefully transition into your Warrior 3 pose, lifting your right leg, finding your gaze point, finding your balance, bringing your arms behind you, and then transitioning into your tree pose, arms up overhead, pressing your right foot into your inner leg, either at your ankle, your calf, your thigh, keeping your palms together or apart up above you, finding your gaze point, lifting up your chest, grounding down through your standing leg. Transition into one-legged Tadasana, forward fold, taking your vinyasa, flowing with the breath, flowing with the movement, or flowing straight to downward facing dog. Taking rest as you need to. I know we've been building a lot of heat during this practice. I was definitely sweating by this point. Take what you need, take what you want, and leave the rest. Meet me in a downward facing dog, lifting your hips up and back into space. Then walk your hands to your feet. We're going to flow through the sequence one more time. Remain focused. Give each posture and transition energy. Inhale, one-legged Tadasana. Balance onto your left foot. Lift your right foot. Exhale, step forward, lunging, bend both knees. Inhale to transition into your pyramid pose, Parsvottanasana. Then transition into your warrior three pose, Virabhadrasana 3, taking your hands behind you like you're an airplane or a bird flying, engaging your left glute and your left leg. Inhale, transition into your tree pose, Vrikshasana. Let your foot land anywhere on your inner leg. Unhook your foot and cross your left leg over your right leg. Inhale and exhale to forward fold. If this is a struggle and you do not have a block, place your hands on your shins, ground through your right foot, and feel a side stretch alongside your right leg. Uncross your feet, and then meet me in down dog. However you'd like to get there, through your vinyasa, or just going back into tabletop and going into your down dog, it's completely up to you. Flow with your breath. Make each breath meaningful and each movement meaningful. Come into your downward facing dog, traveling through tabletop, lifting your hips up and back, then walk your hands to your feet so we can do the other side. Inhale, balance on your right foot, lift your left foot, arms up overhead. As you exhale, step forward, cactus your arms, lunging forward. Inhale, transition into your pyramid pose. Reach the crown of your head forward, your hips back, forward fold halfway. Transition into your warrior three, staying connected to your breath, finding your gaze point, lifting your right leg, squeezing your right glute. Then transition into your tree pose, bringing your arms up overhead. Your right foot land on your ankle, calf, or inner thigh, trying to avoid the knee. Bringing your palms together or apart. And then transition into crossing your right leg over your left and then forward folding. Leaning into your left leg, stretching out the IT band. Uncross your foot. Take your own personal journey to downward facing dog, going through the sun salutation sequence or the vinyasa, or going straight to downward facing dog, adding rest, adding modifications, flowing with your breath. As you breathe, think about becoming taller. Think about your limbs becoming longer, your muscles becoming stronger. Ending the sequence in downward facing dog, taking a moment, staying connected with your breath, lifting your hips up and back, keeping your tail high. Then walk your hands to your feet. Plant your feet hips width distance apart. Act as if you're spreading the floor with your feet. And then inhale to rise into chair pose, Uttanasana. Bending your knees, sitting your hips back, keeping your chest lifted, acting as if you're holding an imaginary block. With a controlled manner, start to swing your arms down, swing them up, bringing this imaginary block forward and down, and then up. Staying with this chair pose, ending with your arms lifted in the air. Inhale through your nose, and then exhale, forward fold. Release your neck fully. Inhale, half lift, lift your heart halfway, lengthen out your spine, walk your hands to a high plank position, spread your fingers wide, walk your hands underneath your shoulders, push the ground away, engage your legs, shift your chest forward, stay connected through your breath, through nice full inhales. Lower your knees into tabletop position. Inhale, extend your right leg, squeeze your right glute to take your leg high as possible, keeping your right leg engaged. And as you exhale, bringing your right knee toward your nose, and then place your right knee by your wrist, keeping both knees bent for a variation of pigeon or deer pose. You're kind of leaning on your right hip, and then forward fold, connecting to the breath, maybe directing the forward fold over your knee or more over your ankle. You can do this variation of deer pose or of pigeon, playing around with it, seeing what works for you. Come to an upright torso, lean onto your right hip, swing your left leg forward. This is a good time to grab your strap. Press your right foot on your inner thigh. Place the strap around the ball of your left foot. You could bend your left knee to do so. And then get a light grip of both ends of the strap. Turn your chest toward your left foot. Inhale through your nose. Exhale, pull your chest forward. Pull your shoulders back from your ears. If this is super easy for you and you're like, I need another level, you can release the strap and grab a hold of your foot. And if that is super easy for you and you still need another level, bind your wrist to your hands and move the back of the hands to your foot. Take whichever variation that you need. Stay connected to your breath for this Janu Sirshasana. Come to an upright torso, lean onto your right hip, swing your left leg behind you, press back up into a tabletop. Inhale, extend your left foot, squeeze your left glute, keep your left leg engaged, lift your chest just slightly. And then as you exhale, bringing your knee toward your nose, place your left knee by your left wrist, transition into deer pose and forward fold. Trying to bend both knees at 90-degree angles. It's okay if they're not perfect 90 degrees or not even close, but trying is doing. You can stay here or transition into pigeon by straightening out your right leg. It's completely up to you. Just taking a few moments to breathe and to rest. Feeling a nice stretch in your glute. Upright torso, lean onto your left hip, swing your right leg forward, and then place your left foot on the inner thigh of your right foot, kind of how we did in tree pose earlier. You can grab a hold of your strap and place the strap around the ball of your foot. Pull your chest forward, your shoulders back, lightly holding both ends of the strap. Repeat whatever you did on the last side, going for whichever variation of the stretch that you would like. Remembering as you breathe, your torso is becoming longer, and as you exhale, pulling your chest just slightly more forward. Come to an upright torso, then bring both legs forward. Grab a hold of your strap or your scarf. We'll be doing boat pose, Navasana, recreating the shape, but with a different relationship to gravity. So you can take your strap and place it around the balls of your feet and balance on your tailbone, keep your chest lifted. Or you can place the strap under your armpits, creating a big loop, placing your feet into that loop and leaning back, using the strap as a support system. This is a fun variation of boat pose. Just remember to take deep, full breaths. Bend or straighten your legs. It's up to you. You can release from this posture, and we'll end with a seated forward fold. So you can place the strap around the balls of your feet. Grab both ends of the strap, pull your chest forward and your shoulders back. Remembering to breathe. If this is super easy for you, you can always drop the strap. Wherever you're at in your practice is completely fine. And come up from this forward fold. Bring your feet together, your heels far from your tailbone. And then let your body fall forward. Release your neck fully. Let your chin tuck to your chest. The further your heels are away from your tailbone, the easier this posture is. And just let your body fall forward. You can hold onto your feet or reach your palms forward. And just staying connected to your breath. Come into an upright torso, forward getting ready to transition into the final resting position, Shavasana. You can lie on your back and bend your knees if you have back issues. If you have more practice to do after this video, come into Child's Pose. Or if you just like Child's Pose, come into Child's Pose. And let stillness wash over your entire body just for a few moments. Let your body be heavy and grounded. And let each disturbance, distraction, thought pass you with each breath.